All right, we've got the new moon in Aries. Granted, I'm a couple days late, but I think everybody can understand why. It's been a lot going on. But still, where the moon is waxing, it's building towards this full moon in Libra eventually. But for now, we're still in the Aries mode. We just came into Aries season. The new moon was in Aries. So it was very much that like push, that energetic push. And, but also, what does an energetic push look like in the midst of global pandemic quarantine? I snap right into more of an activist mode in situations like that. And I found myself reverting to a version of myself that I don't think most people from this context know. In this context, I am a person who works in divination, a person who works in ritual hand poke tattoos. But before this, I had many, many lives, I feel like. And they all held different stories and they all held different lessons that led me to this moment where I felt really capable and able to drop into this space of holding space for a incredibly chaotic and stressful situation. And so been really just juggling with this the thought of balance. How do we balance taking care of ourselves, balance taking care of our community? How do we balance the stress of just knowing what's going on and global lockdowns and some people taking things seriously, some people not taking things seriously, and how we get at each other's throats for the different ways that we choose to do things, and how hard it is in general in this society for people to just allow different worlds to exist alongside each other. And we're coming up on a point where we're going to have to, whether we want to or not. And we're going to have to choose what kind of worlds we want to invest our energy into. And this is just a pivotal moment, and I welcome anybody who wants to take it as seriously as I am, or take it as however seriously as you want to. But I think things are getting pretty fucking serious right now. So, anywho, I pulled some cards, and we've got the Bear card, Bear, the Strength card, and Yellow Sand, which you can barely see. It says that, and it says give it time. And all just incredibly fitting, I feel, for this situation, and also telling for actually how much strength and reserve and energy and moderation we really can have. I think anybody who's watching these videos with me, you were called here for one reason or another, where you're like on or around a page that resonates with the page that I'm on. And so we're in this realm of fear, frustration, overwhelm, also the idea for what could be, the excitement of what could be, even in this moment of really being shut down and not really having any choice about that. So anyways, I want to start with the bear because I find this a really interesting totem animal for this moment, like especially the idea of hibernation and the way that a bear has to mitigate its energy in order to make it possible to go into a cave, hide out for several months, come out voraciously hungry, and go for it. And I feel like this is the energy of right now. We don't have any choice but to go into some sort of forced hibernation in order to, just because I don't know what's going on where you're at, where whoever's watching this, but out on these streets, there's lots of police, much more than there have been in the whole time I've lived here. And they're patrolling the streets. They're making sure that people aren't out there. But there's also a huge homeless population that like doesn't really have anywhere else to be. And they're not really making much available to people. And so there's this pushback because people are still moving around, especially on my street. My street is a busy hub. It's right by a BART station. So it keeps moving even if the rest of the city shuts down. But there's also the boarded up things. There's just a lot of this hibernation mode happening right now. And also we need to be fortifying ourselves in this moment, because at some point something will happen that is going to push some type of tipping point, and we don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know what's going to happen, and it doesn't matter, actually. I'm not sitting here trying to theorize about what's going to happen. I don't think the bear sits in its cave theorizing about what's going to happen when they bust out of that cave and like stressing over it and overextending anxiety over it. I just don't imagine that's actually what they're doing. I think that they make the moves when it's time to make the moves, and they know how to do that. Also, bear is speaking to this idea of simple pleasures. You think about the song, The Bare Necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strifes. You remember that? I don't know. Might be before your time. But the bare necessities are just really, and this is what bears are about. Bears are they eat meat and they eat plants, so they just want the simple pleasure. They're sticking their arms in the trees, they're getting the honey. They just want these beautiful, comfortable pleasures of nature. And they're these also warrior-like animals, also solitary animals. Aside from mothers and cubs, bears tend to be pretty solitary animals. Social distancing, here we are. So bear energy is really just wanting to help us get through this moment, because this moment will not last forever. No moments like this last forever. No storms last forever. Winter never lasts forever. This is the reality of being on the earth. Cycles happen, change happens. And what we need to do is just like have endurance, understand that it's the simple things that we need right now, to lay low when we need to lay low, and to get what we need to get and fight like hell for it when we need to do that. And so I love this bear card for this situation, this time right now. Then we got the strength card. Another intense animal, the lion. And the lion here, I love the strength card because you see this lion, and that's a very intimidating, scary animal, but it's just basking in this sun. It's holding this rose ever so gently in his mouth. I like to say that it's holding it gently because, the thorns, you understand that if you bite too hard, you might hurt yourself. So he's just gently holding, and that's speaking to this aspect of strength that doesn't have necessarily anything to do with like brute strength or physical strength. It's the strength to be vulnerable. Like, what a strength it is to own who you are and own what it is that you're feeling in these moments, and to just advocate for yourself and advocate for what you need when you need it, to understand yourself, to understand what you're feeling in these times, to drop into your body, and the strength that it takes to go do the work, to dive into yourself when they're so easy to just stay distracted. We could just stay distracted forever. But right now we are literally forced inside. And in California, we don't ever get forced to be inside. Never. It's not like snowstorms happen out here. So this is extra uncomfortable for all of us. But we have the strength to move through this situation. We absolutely have the strength to be soft with ourselves. We have the strength to come together in right ways that are going to help us get through these times, because I know I'm not the only person that doesn't have any money right now. And honestly, I believe in mutual aid enough to not be freaked out right now. And I feel like what a privilege and what a blessing this is, that I'm in this position where I can feel comfortable in a time of complete chaos outside. And not only can I feel comfortable, but I can see what resources I have available, coordinate other people, find out what resources they have available, and figure out how we can match needs and resources. And this is what mutual aid is. And this is the work that I like to do. And this is the work that I think is the most important work. And I hope that we can all dip into that in one way or another. But the strength card really gives that energy to me. And this really holding strength within ourselves and holding strength with knowing that we know what's right for us. We know how to maneuver through these times and maneuver through our emotional realm, and to be vulnerable when we need to be vulnerable, and remove ourselves when we don't need to be in a situation, when we don't need to be over explaining ourselves to people who don't want to understand. This is something that I've been telling people over and over again for the past several days. If you are in an argument with somebody who actively does not want to understand you, you absolutely have the right to remove yourself from that situation. You do not need to continue trying to get your point across to these people who refuse to understand. There are people that need your help right now that are willing to understand. That's the important thing. That's what you need to focus your energy on right now. And this message just keeps hitting me in the face. And so I'm going to share it with you. And this last card, the Give It Time card, the yellow sand. I think of the sand inside of an hourglass and the way that marks time, and that the way that it can be really uncomfortable, and it can seem like the sand is barely moving and that time lasts forever. And then you can look away for a second, you look back and it's gone. It's all done, you know? And so that's kind of the way that time works, because time is actually a construct that we as humans put together so that we could function better globally. And like train systems was a part of the reason why we like started really like syncing up time and agreeing on a timeline that was outside of like the rise and set of the sun. All of that to say, this moment is, we have no choice but to give it time. Like we're going on rent strike in my space, and I'm so excited about it because that means I don't have to pay rent. That's the largest expense that I have. If I don't have to pay rent for a month, do you know how much I can like freely devote myself to me and to taking care of myself, to my people and taking care of them, to creating or not creating, to like anything. And this way of being, I hope that people take note of this, to take note of how it feels. I'm sure many people, because I'm more accustomed to living on a very hairpin everything, because I don't want money. I don't really want it. Like I need it obviously so I could pay rent, so that I could buy food. But if I don't have to pay rent, I'm chilling. I'm having a good time. I'm taking my time figuring out what it is that I need, and figuring out what my people need, and figuring out what we all have and how we can share it. I love that way of being, and I want that for all of us. And so, I mean, for anybody that wants to jump in on that, if you are hell-bent on becoming the supremacist with the most guns that's going to kill everybody and have all the canned SpaghettiOs, I don't know, like, okay, you can have it. I don't care. I'm going to stay with my people and have a good time. But this moment is not like, it's not about making all of the moves right now. It's about letting the chips fall where they may. We don't know what this is all going to look like in 24 hours, 48 hours, like, and it just keeps developing, and everybody's got something to say about it. They think it's going to be this, they think it's going to be that. It doesn't matter right now. This is what matters. What are you doing right now? What do you know about yourself right now? What do you know about your people right now? What do you know about the people outside of your door right now? These are the important things, in my opinion. So with that, thank you so much, and I will see you next time.